What's the real difference between a message that lands and one that just disappears? Between a good pitch and a truly great one? For years, Robert Cialdini has been the absolute master of influence. And today, we're going to dive into his incredible work on what happens before you even make your request. Seriously, this idea is going to change how you see every single conversation. So let me ask you, what do you think is the key? If you're like most of us, you'd probably say it's about having a really strong logical argument, right? Or maybe it's presenting rock-solid data, or just having a really charismatic personality. And look, all that stuff matters for sure. But what if the real secret is something else entirely? This is what Cialdini found, and it's pretty fascinating. He studied the most effective people out there, the real masters of communication, and he realized they weren't just focusing on their message. The true masters were obsessed with setting the stage. They were playing a whole different game, one that started long before they ever got around to asking for the yes. And this whole idea of setting the stage brings us to the core concept we're talking about today, the privileged moment. It's this idea that the moment before you deliver your message is actually the most critical part of persuasion. That's where all the magic happens. This is what Cialdini calls pre-suasion. And it's not about trying to change someone's mind with your awesome argument. Nope. It's about arranging things so your audience is already agreeing with you before they even hear what you have to say. You're basically priming them to be receptive.
The whole goal is to create this privileged moment. Just think of it like a brief window of opportunity where someone's mind is uniquely open. If you can get the timing right, your message doesn't have to push against a closed door. It just walks right into an open one.
Okay, so how do you actually create these moments? Well, the first key is learning how to direct attention. You see, our minds have this kind of mental spotlight, and whatever that spotlight is shining on suddenly becomes incredibly important to us. The Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman actually gave this a name. He called it the focusing illusion. He found that whatever we're focused on in a given moment, we tend to massively overestimate its importance. A skilled persuader knows exactly how to direct that focus. Let's look at a fantastic example of this. An online furniture store ran a really simple test. Some visitors saw a landing page with a background of soft, fluffy clouds. Others saw a background just filled with pennies. The result? It's kind of amazing. People who saw the clouds started searching for more comfortable furniture. And the people who saw the pennies? They started looking for more budget-friendly options. The background image persuaded them to value one thing over the other without a single word being said about it.
And it's not just images, asking the right question can be even more powerful. A marketing firm wanted people to try out a new soft drink by giving up their contact information. Their approach was super simple, but the results were just staggering.
Okay, so when they just asked for contact info directly, only about a third of people said yes. But when they first asked a simple question, "Are you an adventurous person?" the agreement rate more than doubled to over 75%. Just by getting people to focus on their adventurous side for a split second, they created the perfect privileged moment to ask them to do something, well, adventurous. So the second big idea behind persuasion is all about association. Our brains don't think about things in isolation. They operate on this huge interconnected web of ideas. You trigger one idea and you automatically bring all these related concepts right to the front of someone's mind. And here's the crucial part. Language doesn't just describe reality. It actually activates these mental networks. The right words and the right metaphors can preload an audience's mind, making them way more receptive to what you're about to say. This next example is one of the most powerful ones I've ever seen. In a study, researchers described the rising crime in a city in two different ways. When they used the metaphor of a beast preying on the city, people wanted solutions like hiring more police and building more prisons. But when they framed the exact same statistics using the metaphor of a virus infecting the city, people suddenly shifted. They wanted solutions like improving education and fixing the economy. A single word changed absolutely everything. All right, so this is all pretty mind-blowing, but how can you actually use it? Let's get practical. Cialdini's famous principles of influence can be used as these really powerful persuasive openers to help set the stage. We're going to focus on three of the most effective ones. So we'll explore three killer openers: reciprocation, liking, and social proof. Now remember, the whole key here is to use these before your pitch to open up a mental pathway that leads right to a yes. First up, reciprocation. We are just wired to give back to those who give to us first. So the key is to give before you ask. For example, a candy store that gave shoppers a free chocolate saw a 42% increase in purchases. That small, simple gift persuaded them by creating a little moment of goodwill. Next is liking. It's so simple. We prefer to say yes to people we actually know and like. You can create this moment persuasively just by highlighting things you genuinely have in common or by giving sincere compliments. For instance, hairstylists who simply complimented their clients, saying something like, you'd look good in any hairstyle. They saw their tips increase by a whopping 37%. And finally, there's social proof. When we're uncertain about something, we look to what other people are doing. So you can persuade by simply showing what's popular. Think about a restaurant that labels a dish as most popular. Sales for that dish can jump up to 20%. It frames the choice not as a risk, but as the safe, smart, validated option. So you see, persuasion isn't some kind of magic. It's the science of directing attention and creating associations. And once you understand it, you start seeing it everywhere, in ads, in politics, in your daily conversations. Which really just leaves us with one final question. Now that you can see the strings, who's pulling them?